Hello, this is Jennifer with Make My Heart Smile, and today I'd love for you to crochet along with me. This is a series of crochet lessons where you'll learn beginner basic to easy to intermediate level crochet skills. So check out my other tutorials in this series to see more. Written instructions are in the description below. Today's lesson is the half double crochet stitch. It is one of my favorite stitches. It's so versatile. It has such a lovely texture and look in any crocheted project, and I'm really excited to teach you this stitch. So let's get started. The materials you'll need, of course, are some scissors, a darning needle if you are working on a project as practice, and a stitch marker, so important, and of course your crochet hook. Today I am using my J hook, and usually J hooks are a 6mm. I have the Boye brand, B-O-Y-E brand of hooks, and so they call that a 5.75mm, but a J size 6 is perfect for learning and practicing. Now, in my first two videos, lessons, you might have seen me using this gray tube yarn, cotton and nylon. This is Wooble's brand, and I really love this yarn for beginners. I highly recommend it. And I went to the craft store this past weekend, and I found some different colors in different brands. I went to my favorite stores. First, I stopped at Hobby Lobby. Yarn Bee does have a beginner bee. It's called beginner yarn, and it is exactly like Wooble's tube-like yarn. Wooble's will often come with kits to make amigurumi projects, and that's what this yarn is often really popular for. And if you watched my second lesson, I taught you the single crochet stitch, which is often used in amigurumi projects, which are very popular right now. But if you want just individual balls or skeins of yarn in this tube-like texture, which is great for beginners, then Hobby Lobby does sell them. My favorite colors are always green and blue. I always gravitate toward those colors. And so then I went to Michael's. And Michael's now does have a much better yarn selection than they used to, since they absorbed a lot of Joann's brands of yarn. And they have their own house brand loops and threads of a tube-like yarn called Cuddlecraft Tube. And it is very similar, if not exactly the same as Wooble's. So there's no snagging, no splitting for beginners with this yarn, and so I highly recommend you practice with this kind of yarn. Now, I hope your practice has been going well in thinking about practicing making a slip knot, chaining, and the single crochet stitch. If you haven't gone back and watched those lessons, I recommend that. If you have noticed some issues with tension, so let's talk about tension, since holding our form when we're crocheting is important, and our tension does matter in projects. So this is the single crochet stitches that I did with you in lesson 2, and as you can see, it's pretty much uniform going across with my tube-like yarn. This is a acrylic and alpaca wool blend yarn that I did some practice with as well. And if you are using this kind of worsted weight yarn, perfectly fine. But as you can see, my stitches look a little wonky. And why is that? These are all single crochet stitches. It's because when I started, my tension made my stitches this tall. And although these are single crochet stitches, I put my work down, and this might have happened to you as you've been practicing as a beginner. And then you pick up your work again to work, and then you look back and your tension's a little different. Your stitches look a little tighter, a little smaller. And why is that when you are doing the same exact stitch? Now, if you haven't made a mistake, as I have not, I have simply just increased my tension. I just started crocheting a little tighter. And as you can see, it does affect your work. So as you practice and get more experienced, you will find what tension you do best with. I tend to crochet a little tighter than some. And so often with projects, I might use a size hook that's a little bit bigger that they recommend. Now for this Hobby Lobby brand Yarn Bee, they call this tube yarn, their brand, tube yarn. I can get that to focus. It's super tiny. They call it a, oh, let's see, there we go, a 5 bulky, and recommend a 5mm crochet hook, whereas Loops and Threads calls theirs a size 4 medium, although it's the exact same kind of yarn, and I recommend a 4.5mm crochet hook, which is a little bit smaller. Again, your preference. Even with working with this, I would still probably use a 6, and I'm going to be using a 6 today, not a 5. So that is just something you're going to have to learn, that yes, yarn labels will tell you different things, and that just comes with experience. So you'll find if your tension is looser, you might use a size hook that is a little bit smaller. If your tension's a little tighter, then maybe size up your hook by a half size or a full size. Okay, so I hope you've been practicing making that slip knot and single crocheting. If you need a little review, we're going to review now to make our foundation chain and single crochet row our foundation before I teach you the half double crochet stitch. So to make a slip knot, if you need more explanation, you can always check out my other video, my very first lesson. Put that slip knot onto your hook, and we are going to chain 11. So again, yarn over, pinching that slip knot and tail to anchor your work, holding your hook in the correct position, and making sure that you're in a comfortable position. I'm working here at my craft table. So there's 1, 2, and let's make these fairly loose. 3, yarn over, pull through. 4, and then just keep working up that chain with your thumb and index finger of your left hand to anchor it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, now there's our chain. All right, now we're going to work back 10 single crochet stitches. And why do I say 10 when I just chained 11? It's because we always insert our hook for a single crochet or to start a new round, usually in the second chain from the hook. So if I want my project to have 10 stitches going across, I'm considering this 11th chain my turning chain. We're going to go into the back loop only to do this single crochet foundation chain before we learn the half double crochet stitch. As a reminder, if you're learning along with me, that to make a single crochet stitch, you insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, you have 2 on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops, and that just created our first single crochet stitch. And as a review, we're going to go back across. Okay, if you're learning along with me, this would just be a good refresher for our single crochet foundation row. So I'm going back across 10 single crochets. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Insert the hook, I'm going to go a little bit faster. And this should be a little refresher. If you find that this is a good warm-up as practice, then that's great. Remember, if you're frustrated and need to frog or undo your work, it's perfectly fine when you're first learning. Now, this can be confusing for some beginners. Where is my last stitch? This is right here. It seems like I might have two more, but this is my slip. This is my slip knot. Okay, so this is my last single crochet stitch right here where I'm going to insert, or my last chain, where I'm going to insert my hook to make my last single crochet. And it might seem like, oh, don't I need to go into this one right here? No. If you can see, that is our slip knot, the end of our slip knot. So in order to make our corner real snug and tight, tighten that up a little bit. Okay, so counting back, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this 10th one kind of slopes down a little bit, if you can see that. Okay, it slopes down. This is our 10th one. That's where we're going to put our stitch marker under both loops, front and back, under the full V. Okay, that marks our 10th stitch when we go back across. Okay, if I can get that in there. All right, so that will mark our last stitch when we chain 1 and turn. Now, in some patterns, half double crochet, the turning chain is 2 chains, but I find when I do half double crochet stitches, I like a turning chain of just 1, and that raises our row up, raises our work up so that we can do a taller stitch like a half double crochet stitch. So there's our chain of 11, our 10 single crochet stitches going back across, and now we're going to chain 1 and turn. So we're going to chain 1 to start our half double crochets. Your tail should just be laying back there. Okay, so get repositioned, and let's talk about the half double crochet stitch. When we begin a half double crochet stitch, we're going to yarn over first before we insert our hook, and that's the biggest difference. Okay, so this is our working loop on our hook, this is our turning chain, and we're going to look at that second chain from the hook right here. Okay, so this is our working loop, remember? Working loop, turning chain, and this is where we're going to insert our hook under both the front and back loop of our V. Okay, but first we're going to yarn over. So to half double crochet, yarn over first, then insert your hook, pull up a loop, and you'll notice that you have 3 loops on the hook. Okay, we're going to yarn over again, and we're going to pull through all 3 loops. Now this might be a little tricky because you don't want it to snag. You don't want to accidentally go through 1 loop. You don't want to go through just 2. You don't want this loop to come off of your hook. So I recommend your hook be in this position when pulling through all 3 loops. Okay, your tension shouldn't be too loose. Your loop shouldn't be huge, and your loop shouldn't be too tight on the hook. Okay, because that'll just frustrate you when you're pulling through. So your hook should be in this position, not this position, not backwards, facing backwards, but just right there in front of you. Okay. All right, so we're going to pull through all 3 loops on our hook. That was pretty slow-mo. So let's do that again, of course. So to start a half double crochet stitch, you yarn over first. And now where are we inserting our hook? Into the next V under both loops, front and back loop of the V. Pull up a loop. You should now have 1, 2, 3 on your hook. Make sure your hook's in the right position. Yarn over again to then pull through all 3. And you want to like raise it up a little bit to give that room for the hook to pull the yarn through. Okay, let's try that again. Yarn over first, then look to see where you're inserting your hook. There's our next V right there. Insert the hook. Pull up that loop. Three on the hook. Get your hook in position. Yarn over. Pull through all 3. Half double crochet stitch. Yarn over. Insert the hook under the full V. Back loop and front loop. Pull up the loop. 3 on the hook. Yarn over. Pull through all 3. And your hook should be gliding through. If it's not, then you just need to relax and adjust your tension. If it's too loosey-goosey and you have no idea what you're pulling through and you don't even see your stitch definition coming along like this, then you're probably too loose and need to tighten up a little bit. Okay, so let's go back across this row and keep practicing the half double crochet stitch. Yarn over, insert into the next V, under the next V. Pull up a loop. 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over to start, insert the hook, pull up that loop, 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Noticing my left hand has a job to do, my right hand has a job to do. I'm not releasing my grip on my work while I'm yarning over. I've got that yarn slipping through my fingers, and I'm using my thumb and index finger usually to, or middle finger, to grab my work while I'm yarning over. Yarn over to start. Insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over again, pull through all 3. All right, let's finish this row. I have 1 or 2 or 3 more. Yarn over, insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Oh, and now my stitch marker shows me that this is my last stitch. So helpful. If you don't have any of these little plastic stitch markers, you could always use a paper clip. Paper clip works just fine. So I'm going to take that out because I know this is my last V. There's not a lot to hold on to here. I'm going to pinch that with my left hand, yarn over, insert the hook under those last 2 back and front loop of that last stitch. Oh, look at that. I need to start over. Just the V. There we go. All right, pull through all 3 loops and you should see your corner. All right, that is your first row of half double crochet stitches. Now let's talk about the structure of this stitch. But first we're going to chain 1. Our turning chain for half double crochet stitches in this lesson are 1, not 2. And turn your work. Okay, so let's look at the structure of this really cool basic crochet stitch, the half double crochet. All right, so on the top, I'll take my hook out for a minute, make that loop a little bit bigger so it doesn't pull through. So as we look at our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, counting's important. I'm just going to go ahead and put my stitch marker in right now. So I just chained that. So that's my turning chain. I don't count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This right here is the last chain stitch. It often gets buried. So super important to put your stitch marker in there, because you don't want to mistake this as, you don't want to mistake this right here as a chain to put your hook into. Okay, this is your last chain right there. Okay, so marking that before you even begin the next row is a good idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so here is the top, which looks very much like a single crochet top, right? Top of the stitch. But if you turn it, you will notice that there are these loops right here. This is called the third loop, and a half double crochet stitch creates this because when we yarned over to start the stitch, we then had 3 loops on our hook before we pulled through, and that's what creates this third loop on the side. This is the top, this is the side facing you. Okay, so this is the back loop, front loop, third loop, or sometimes called side loop in patterns or tutorials. Back loop, furthest away from you. Front loop, closest to you. Side, third loop. So when we go back across with our crochet hook, we might decide we want to, as always, go under both front and back loop to make our half double crochet stitch. Or we could choose just to go under the front loop, back loop, and that's going to create a ridge. If we choose to go under front loop only, that's going to create a ridge here, those loops that are unused. Or if we choose to go into the third loop or the side loop here, which is right here, okay, so we would insert our hook here, then that's going to push the V's or this braided look or knit look out as we go along. And that's going to create a really cool ridge or knit-like look to your work. Okay, so the half double crochet stitch is super versatile and so fun to play around with. So as you're practicing, let's do that. Let's practice a few rows where we use different loops to insert our hook. So let's go into the back loop only for this row and see what that looks like. So again, to start our half double crochet stitch, we're going to yarn over, and this time we're looking for 1, 2, second chain from the hook, but we're going to go into the back loop only. So we're going to insert our hook kind of in the middle of the V and just insert our hook into the back loop only. Yarn over, of course, to bring up our loop. We've got 1, 2, 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's try that again. We're going to do a half double crochet stitch into the back loop only. Yarn over. And instead of going under both of these, we're going to go into the back loop. Pull up a loop, 3 on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's continue that across. Back loop only. Yarn over, insert into the back loop only, pull up a loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 at the same time. I'm going to go across this row, half double crochets into the back loop only. You might notice that that's pulling up that back loop right here. Here's our half double crochet stitch, and it is pulling that back loop up a little bit, but that's okay. Remember, not too loose, not too tight on your tension. And all the way to the end where I see my stitch marker. So my stitch marker is right here, and I know that's my last back loop right there. I'm going to take it out. yarn over first, then insert my hook into that back loop only, pull through all 3. Okay, so that's our second row. Now, as you can see, we've got this little ridge right here, which were our front loops that are now kind of sticking out and creating kind of like this effect going down our work, which is really great texture in projects. Chain 1. I'll show you one more row. Chain 1, turn your work. Now, second chain from the hook, right here, we could decide to go into the back loop again, or the front loop, or you want to try the side loop. Now here is the tricky part. Some beginners get confused of where their chain is. Is it this? Oh, I see V's right here. Well, yes, sometimes this gets confusing. You're actually looking at your third loop and the front loop. Okay, that's not the same as the top of the stitch with the back loop and front loop, although they both look like chains and both have a V formation. So that can be a little tricky. But if we are just going to go into our third loop just to see what that looks like, let's yarn over and let's look for that third loop from the second one from the chain. Well, technically this is our turning chain, so this would be our first stitch. Okay, so this is our first third loop. We're going to go up underneath of that. Yarn over again when you have your 3 loops on the hook. Right there, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. So yarn over, insert into the side third loop. Yarn over again, 3 on the hook, pull through all 3. All right, so again, that's not the top, that's the side third loop. Yarn over, insert your hook into that side third loop, pull up a third loop on your hook, yarn over, pull through. And for the sake of time, I'm going to go back across. Again, take your time. You need to pause, get more yarn as you see I'm doing. Meet you back at the end, and let's look at that effect that working into that third side loop in half double crochet gives us on projects. Okay, so here's my last one. I did not use my stitch marker, so I'm having to really use my eyeballs here. This is my last third loop, and I believe it is, but let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, got one more to do. Half double crochet stitches can be a little bit tricky to see. That's why stitch markers are super duper important. Okay. All right, so one more is right here. So I should have marked that with my stitch marker. That would have saved me a little bit of time there and some guesswork. All right, so now let's look at that effect. If we turn our work, remember chain 1, turn our work. Isn't that so cool? Now you can see that V, those V's pushed forward, and it has a knit-like look going across. So this is where we did back loop only, and the front loops were pushed forward. And here is where we did the side loop, the third loop, and the top of the chain, basically, both of those, the front loop and back loop, were pushed forward. Okay, so I want you to continue practicing the half double crochet stitch before moving on to the next lesson. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. You can go back and forth, whichever you'd like, front loop only, back loop only, third loop only. And if you have your little note card, let's add these notes and these abbreviations. In patterns, you will see an HDC for half double crochet stitch. You'll see capital BLO for back loop only, FLO for front loop only. and half double crochet stitches have a third loop. And this is the structure of the top of the stitches, where you'll see the back loop, front loop. Okay? And that might help you when learning. Okay? What project could you work on to make while practicing the half double crochet stitch? Well, anything that's square or rectangle, I would recommend maybe a scarf, because this texture is so wonderful. So however many chains you choose to do is the width of your project. However many rows you do is the length of your project. So let me repeat that. However many chains you do to start with is going to be the width of your, is going to determine the width of your project. Okay? And then going back and forth with rows, however many rows you do will determine the length of your finished project. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. I hope it feels like I've sat down with you personally to teach you the half double crochet stitch. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments below. And I hope you have fun practicing. Happy crocheting, and see you next time.